Meanwhile, President Trump tweeted this morning that he'll be making his pick for the Supreme Court next Thursday. So if confirmed, his nominee will fill the vacancy created after the death of Justice Antonin Scalia last year.
CBS News chief legal correspondent Jan Crawford first broke the news of the frontrunner to be nominated for the seat. So, Jan, you are joining us now outside of the Supreme Court. What can you tell us?
Well, after starting with a list of 21 candidates, President Trump has narrowed that down to a final top three. And the front runner is a Denver-based federal appeals court judge named Neil Gorsuch. He is just an elite establishment guy. He's a former D.C. lawyer. He was educated at Columbia, Harvard, Oxford. He sailed through his confirmation hearings. And so he is widely seen right now as the top contender. And I've got to tell you, talking to my sources, that is coming as a real disappointment to conservatives who were urging President Trump to nominate another federal appeals court judge based in Alabama, William Pryor. He is the former Alabama Attorney General, and he was seen as a solid conservative, a highly respected judge who would not come up to the Supreme Court and start drifting to the left like some Republican nominated justices have tended to do over the years. But my sources tell me that Senate Republicans have told the White House that they are afraid of a fight in the confirmation battle with William Pryor. He was filibustered for his appellate court nomination, and they're worried about that fight with Democrats. So that's why the focus has turned to Judge Gorsuch and another nominee, potential nominee, a federal appeals court judge based in Pennsylvania, Thomas Hardiman. Much less is known about Hardiman, but he too is seen as a solid conservative.
Yeah, Jan, it's interesting because so are conservatives worried that a pick like this with, for example, Gorsuch could mean that we see another Justice Brennan or another Justice Kennedy, somebody who is a solid conservative when they're on the bench before they get to the Supreme Court, and then when they're nominated to the court, they start to drift a little bit more leftwards?
Well, I think Justice Kennedy is the example that people would point to. He was nominated by President Reagan, but came up here to the Supreme Court and voted with liberals on a host of social issues like abortion, affirmative action, same-sex marriage. And so people are worried about Justice Kennedy. They also point to Justice David Souter, nominated by President George H.W. Bush, who became a solid liberal vote. And in fact, Judge Pryor has said publicly, please, no more Souters, because sometimes when these Republican nominees get up here, whether it's the pressures of being in Washington under the, spotlight of the media, the liberal New York Times, they say, or the Georgetown cocktail party crowd, they start to drift to the left. And that's why there was this focus. When you're replacing a conservative icon like Justice Scalia, you've got Republicans controlling the Senate. The Republicans are saying, we've got to get this right. We can't have a mistake. And so that's why there was so much support for William Pryor, because he has been battle tested. He has gotten, enemies from the left because of his views on abortion. He's a Catholic. He opposes abortion. But the right, he's really kind of enraged the religious right. As Attorney General, he voted and encouraged the ouster of the Alabama Chief Justice Roy Moore from office when Judge Moore refused to remove this massive Ten Commandments rock in violation of a federal court order. So, he's not got a lot of friends on the far right either. But right now, it's that fight that Democrats are vowing to have over this nomination, I think in part because of the anger about the refusal to confirm Judge Garland when President Obama nominated him after the death of Justice Scalia. I think that's fueling some of this.
All right, Jan Crawford at the Supreme Court for us. Jan, we'll be watching Thursday. Thank you.
Thanks.